Crime Insider Jon Burkett. Now, just about 2 months ago, the city of Richmond declared all of this gun violence a public health crisis. And this is not something that's unique to Richmond. This violence is happening across the country. In fact, President Biden spoke with some mayors yesterday about this very issue. But still, we just came out of a weekend, a very violent weekend. It's still happening in our community despite all of the conversation that's happening. What are your police sources saying about all of this crime?
Well, Candace, this past weekend, of course, not as violent as the holiday weekend before, but I talked to some of my Crime Insider sources, and many of them are veterans on the police force. And when you talk about Richmond in the 90s, that comes up a lot in conversations now. There is a true fear out there that we are going back to where we were in the 90s as the murder capital per capita. And there is a fear that we're reversing back to that. We don't want to get to that point. So that, we're talking about Richmond, and Richmond's having a problem with maintaining police officers leaving in big numbers. So those are some of the things you're going to have to get a handle on to get this going the right direction.
So a very, very serious concern here. We definitely don't want to go to those 90s numbers. But you have an incredible position here at CBS 6. You have to go into the community and talk to the families who lost lives. These numbers, they're just not numbers. There are families connected to these people who lose their lives.
Right.
And just recently you spoke to a family from a VCU student who was murdered. You also speak with community activists. What is their message for the people who are watching this and the people committing these crimes?
Well, the VCU student you're speaking of, he was murdered as he was taking the trash out. You talk about the guy, Jeremy Sweeney, or Jeffrey Swiney, that was murdered on Main Street 2 nights ago. It was over, he was trying to dissolve a situation where they were arguing about a Facebook or an Instagram post. I mean, things like this don't even seem to make sense. Back in the 90s, it was all about drugs. Now it's a whole lot of different things, social media, things like that. And then you talk to the activists that go in these communities. I know a guy named Ricky Johnson on the South Side. He goes into all these impoverished communities to try and help people. With goods, with water, with whatever they need. But he says, John, I can't send my volunteers in there when these are combat zones they're going into. So he's actually had to pull his volunteers out and wait for things to cool down before they can go back.
Okay, I wanted to ask you another question because we've talked about the problems. What are they saying could be the solution to all of this?
Well, the solution is easy, is stop the violence, is put the guns down, talk things out, use a different way to solve your issues. But will that happen? I mean, it remains to be seen.
How to convince people to put the guns down and find another way to solve your problems.
Right.